Good morning.
Morning.
Last minute victory on Saturday, I guess you can make for maybe change the way you think about the game quickly, but in the days since, have you had any new thoughts or revelations about the result on Saturday and how that might lead into this week's training into the match on Saturday?
Not particularly. It certainly was a good moment for the group, like I said, after the game to experience a victory in that fashion, which hasn't happened in a while. So more of a reminder of having the composure late in the game when we're pushing for a goal to understand how we got there and how we continue to create good chances by, moving the ball the right way and getting into the box. So hopefully you take the energy and the feeling you have after a win like that and take it into the training week and our next match. So, but a lot of what we saw and what we talked about post game is similar to what we're feeling now.
It's the club's first ever trip to play Galaxy in LA. It's hardly your first trip to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But what are you kind of expecting out of this Galaxy team? I know it's been a weird season for them, but what are you expecting to see this weekend?
It's a talented team. Like I always say, we're not looking at the table. We're looking at the challenge in front of us and how this LA team can cause us problems and how we think we can be effective in the game to do the same to them. So I think maybe structurally some of the things have changed a little bit in recent weeks from what we've seen. But you always have to be prepared for an opponent to throw different things at you at this stage based on where teams sit, what they're playing for. So but I can tell you this, we're well aware of the threats, and there's got to be caution going into it to know how to approach this game and find success.
Is there a person or a part of the Galaxy's game that maybe stands out to you specifically that might not get the attention that I guess maybe the two forwards, Painsall and Peck, and Royce, I guess I'm not sure if he'll be available, but
right.
Is there a part of their game that stands out to you most that you might be identifying?
They're very good with the ball. You can see that. They're one of the top teams in the league as far as being able to play under pressure and through pressure. You talked about some of their playmakers, very dynamic winger play, and certainly something that we've put some focus on to see how we can limit very good players in isolation, good speed. So that allows them to get field position, to get into the box, to cause you a lot of problems, and it's trying to take away those strengths of theirs before they even have the opportunity to hurt you. But good team with the ball, and that's kind of in each position. So always in games like this, when you want to cause teams problems on the defensive side of the ball, you have to be aware of how they can expose you with players that can play under pressure. So I would say those are the things that we've put a lot of focus on.
They made the run in Leagues Cup, and it seems like you kind of touched on this. They've been playing a little bit better lately.
Yeah.
You mentioned kind of their structure. Is that the thing that you think's kind of just pushed them at the end, or they also made a run like late last season? Is it just a team fighting at the end? What do you?
It's hard to say with whether it's structure or not. What you also see is a team that's really struggled with injuries and to key pieces from the very beginning of the year all the way up until till now. So anytime you're losing key pieces consistently, it's hard to sometimes find rhythm. So they had a good run in Leagues Cup, and that just shows you that despite maybe the league struggle, they're a very talented team, and they went on a good run, and were able to find a Champions Cup spot. But that's a that's a good indicator of just how quickly things can turn good or bad with a new approach, a new tournament, a string of good results, and that's what they experienced in the Leagues Cup. So that's kind of the LA team that we focus on and anticipate.
Is there any update on Matt specifically, and then we'll get into the other injuries?
Yeah, Matt took a knock in the Nashville game that'll put him out for the weekend, and not sure for our Orlando game what it looks like, but we know at least for this weekend that he won't be available.
And then Roman, like, we never really got a real update on what happened with him.
Yeah.
Like, when that happened with.
It happened in right before the game, and I know up until the selection he was trying to be available, and then came back. We got it imaged, and he had a little strain that'll put him out for this weekend as well, and then he's made good progress. So his timeline is maybe similar to Matt's, where we'll see how the early stages of next week go, but yeah, that injury was picked up at the very end of camp.
We've talked a lot about the goalkeeping group. You've always spoken highly of just the group as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So how comfortable are you with Evan, and especially seeing what he did Saturday? Is that just kind of rebuild that confidence, because he's a guy that really hasn't gotten to play a lot, but you're seeing it now?
It just, the confidence we have is such that we wouldn't rush Roman back. We're going to make sure he's healthy to return to, the group and, again, be in selection. So Evan was strong the other night, helped us to go win a game, and we've seen this from, all of our goalkeepers, for years now. There's a ton of confidence, and anytime, something's happened to one of our keepers, we have a guy that's ready and is confident to step in and play, and you saw that with Evan, on the weekend.
Somewhere injury with Lucas also, he took that knock and then ended up finishing. Is that something that
Lucas appears to be okay? He'll be in training today. He needed a couple extra days, so it was just a hip pointer and pain tolerance in the early stages, and it sounds like he's had a good couple days of recovery, and hopefully today goes well, but he'll be available.
Sorry, you have the second best road record in the league. You're 2-0 out west, and generally your teams have played well out west. And just what is it about the way you and your staff are prepared them to play on the road that's been so successful?
I'm not sure it's the staff that's having these guys going and performing on the road. They understand the challenges of playing on the road, whether it's in conference or out of conference. What I will say is, from a sports performance perspective, a nutrition perspective, all of the travel and all of the things that go into a West Coast trip, our guys do a really good job of preparing our players with the right information to have the right diet, to have the right sleep, to get the recovery and just make that adjustment in the best way possible. So I think we've learned from previous road trips how to best handle that approach. And then, as far as the coaching and the preparation, that's case by case. But I think the success that we've had is a lot in the preparation from the things I just mentioned to just position the players the best way possible physically to go and play the game.
Is that perhaps an underrated part of the challenges of Major League Soccer compared to other leagues internationally? Is the travel, the travel from Cincinnati to Los Angeles is, I mean, in Europe is unthinkable, but is that something you guys have to uniquely prepare for, and maybe is a challenge people don't expect when looking outside, looking in?
Well, I can't compare, having not really spent enough time. I had a brief stint in Norway, and I understand what that easier travel looks like, but it's the best way to understand it is for any player coming from, Europe, from countries where the travel is, I guess, easier and not as demanding. Ask those players what it's like to come in and go on a trip from coast to coast, or from, in this case, Cincy to LA, and, be on a flight for 4.5 hours and, get adjusted to the time zones. that's typically when you realize how demanding it is players that have been on the other side of it and just haven't experienced something this challenging. So it's been a part of, what I've experienced, for the entirety of my career. So when you're accustomed to it, you don't think about it as much. But now for these players coming in, somebody like Sammy, as an example, does he really understand, and are we helping to educate him on what this is actually going to look like and feel like? So that's now our job to help prepare these guys in the ways that I just mentioned to mentally and physically be prepared. But it's not easy, but it's also not something that we put too much focus on as far as an excuse to go and perform.
I wanted to ask you about Dom Marczuk. He's come in, he started both games. Seems like you made a big jump. I mean, from the press box eye, from game 1 to game 2. But what have you seen from him in those first 2 appearances, and what has he maybe added to your group or impressed with in that sense?
I like his work rate. I think his off-the-ball movement has been him taking some ideas pretty quickly to understand how to, attack the edge, how to run behind, how to use, an inside dribble to break pressure. You can see he's technically, pretty strong. I would say now it's just the, connection with his teammates. It's the timing. It's the decision making. Some of those areas, I think, over the last couple games can improve. Defensively, some of the things that we had prepared for against Nashville, I thought, his release at times to Lovitz in the left back position, we got some of those moments wrong, and it's a combination of communication from behind and him recognizing the moment to step. So that's an area we'll continue to work on, but those are some of the things we've noticed on both sides of the ball, both areas of strength and areas that we need to improve.
Do you think that helps open up your attack a little bit more, especially when Luka's on the left side and you've got 2 guys that can really go forward and provide? Like, do you feel like the defense has to kind of account for that
Yeah.
can come from either side?
You have to respect the space behind and speed. And I think with Ender, with Dom, with Ayub, now you're seeing different types of strengths with some of the new additions to threaten the opponent, to unlock our own guys and create space for guys like Evander, guys like Brenner, guys like Pavel in more central positions or deeper positions. So you're always trying to find a balance and have a variety of ways to attack, and I think those guys come in and have done a good job of just giving us something a little bit different.